Amazon product announcements, the NES gets an OS, and something about Stadia next on Week in Review. Welcome to the VOD Squad Week in Review, where we only talk about the stories we want to talk about. Clyde, what's up first?
All right. Hey, did you guys have an NES when you were growing up?
I did.
Absolutely.
Great.
Did you ever wish that it could be a all-in-one computer?
No, I never wanted it to do that. As a kid, I could care less about it being an all-in-one computer. I was
Well,
more about Mario.
Yeah, as a kid, I was like, I would never have thought of that because this little tiny controller would suck to control a computer.
apparently somebody wanted that and they never gave up because they have recently made an operating system for the NES.
Nice.
All right.
I saw this and I never had an NES. And I don't have that nostalgia attachment to the device. But when I saw this, it made me laugh because it's got the NES was not known for storage or memory. That was what, 8-bit?
It was an
Mhm.
8-bit system, but there were many 8-bit systems. So
Yeah. But I guess the OS is called NESOS.
Okay.
Surprising. And it fits into just 48K of memory, and the files have to sit inside the 2K of NVRAM that retains data when the console turns off.
Sounds
Wow.
about right.
Yep.
I bet that's a super powerful OS. Lots of features.
Now, I honestly don't know what you would do with this. But there is somebody out there that this is the answer to their childhood dream. If you're one of those people, the project is available on a ROM that you can likely use through an emulator, unless you manage to, or you know how to make your own cartridge.
Yep. There are people who have ways of doing that. But if you
most
are one
people
of those people, if you are one of those people out there who have an NES and think this is the right thing to do with the NES, you're wrong. Play games on it. It's much better at that. It just is.
I mean, it flat out says you won't be writing a novel in NESOS. Yeah.
I mean, a very short text document, maybe plain text.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine writing a novel using the select keyboard, mousing to each letter and hitting enter or A or B and
I can imagine.
I can't even get through a username before I want to throw the remote across the room. So.
Well, the good news is those Nintendo controllers have been thrown across rooms for generations now. They hold up pretty well, so they'll be able to handle that, at least for this feature.
So that's all I got. Matt, I see you've got something about Stadia, so let me guess. Stadia's dead, right?
You're correct, sir. No,
Wait.
I'm not kidding. He's really dead this time.
What?
Yeah, so we have a story that came on September 29th, announcement that Stadia has been decided by Google to be canned. It's going to be canceled altogether. It will stop working as of January 18th in 2023. That means that the system is no longer going to be supported after that date. All of the games on the system will be no longer available. This is the big fear that everybody was talking about for the streaming service. Stadia for the good thing that they're doing here is they're taking any purchases you've made for any software inside the systems or any hardware you've purchased through the system, and they are intending to give you your money back for that, which means you're getting a Stadia stimulus. I don't know when and where exactly yet.
In cash?
But it's supposed to be coming to you in a one of many. They're figuring out exactly how they're getting it to you, and they're making noise like it's not going to be in like some type of Google credit or something like that. It'll be a real some kind of money brought back to you one way or another.
Mhm.
A lot of stories have come up since about what people are going to be doing about their save games and how they're going to be able to get their what they've been working on in Stadia. There's lots of people who have had thousands of hours in Stadia. Know that Ubisoft has talked about the possibility of moving people's save games over to their streaming service in the future. So this is a huge deal, but the biggest deal to me is that this hurts my soul in one specific way. I like Stadia. I like the idea of cloud
Mhm.
gaming. I think cloud gaming is going to be a part of our future in computers because I think Stadia is going to be the it's going to be the drive-in theater of the movie-going experience. It's going to be there for a reason. It's going to have a purpose for an inexpensive way of getting a similar thing that's going to be able to do what you wanted to do without having to buy $1,000 computer or a $500 console you
Mhm.
can't find on the shelf. So, but the problem is that Google did exactly what everybody feared that they would do. They would take this thing and then they would cancel it eventually. This effectively poisons the brand further than it was before, to the point where now a loyal Googler who loves the things that Google does, and now I am feeling like, oh, maybe you can't
But
trust them with anything, can you?
I would like to see what the actual metrics are, because with any product, there is a cost to use balance. And I would like to see how much or how that works out, because Google is saying that the adoption rate just wasn't there, which I'm doesn't surprise me, because we spent the last 2 years reading stories from everybody under the sun saying that Stadia was dead, that nobody wants to use it, that nobody should use it. Um, so yeah, and if the users aren't there, you got to be able to monetize it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
if you
My,
can't,
my guess is they couldn't sell enough advertisement there either, right? So
well,
that maybe that was part of
there
it.
were no ads in Stadia. Um, that's the nice thing, because you're paying to be there essentially by
Yeah.
purchasing games or subscription
Okay,
For
so
to the Game
reports.
Pass.
Go ahead, Mike.
I was just gonna say that for me, like the problem with Stadia and the reason that I feel like it struggles is because like I would be in that target market generally. I like playing video games. I no longer want to replace my computer every single year to have the newest, best technology. I mean, I kind of want to, but um,
You still
I don't want to
want it.
spend $1,500 on a graphics card every year because I've got other things to
Mhm.
spend my money on.
Let it happen.
So I don't want to make that continual investment like I used to do back when gaming was a core part of my life. That is, i.e., before kids. Um, and so I would normally be the target customer, but I just found it difficult enough because of things like internet lag, which was all on my side, not theirs. But bad internet connections occasionally and things like that, that I just didn't ever stick with it. I had an early membership, but I dropped it after a few months, probably a few months more than I actually used it. Um, but it's a good service. I'm sad to see it go.
Yeah, I mean,
So
Or was.
I was just gonna say, I'm not a gamer. I will occasionally play a game, and I spent more time in Stadia than I expected. I had rock solid performance every single time. This is also a year or so after when you had your, they did have a rocky start,
mhm.
because, but also people forget that initial offering was beta.
Yeah.
People were joining the beta expecting a full release performance, but if you remember last year when that Cyberpunk, was it last year's that Cyberpunk game came out?
Mhm.
Day one, it was terrible on every platform except Stadia.
Yep.
I launched it immediately, didn't have to wait for any downloads, didn't have to do any patches, and it worked perfectly. I'm pretty sure it still doesn't run properly on the PS5 or the whatever the Xbox is. But yeah, on the bright side, I hated that game. I'm getting my $75 back.
Good. I'm glad you're getting your money
Yep.
back, man. Knew it would happen.
Silver
couple
linings, right?
couple things, just thoughts of this is that I suspect that Google Stadia was seeing a modest amount of adoption for a while. All reports were that there were lots of lower, not AAA developers, but maybe B grade developers were saying they're seeing decent adoption of their games in Stadia, which was cool. And we know that there were some AAA games that did make it into their, not probably most of them Ubisoft ones, but that's okay. But I suspect recently, since now there's been people have been getting access to their PS5s and their Xbox Series X's, the demand for the cloud streaming service started to wane. And unfortunately, I'm sure somebody looked at the numbers and said, you know what? We looked at how things are looking. We can see how we currently are in decline, and they went ahead and to cancel it.
And
The other thing I want to say is that this is the classic client versus server side processing question. Should the client be doing all the processing, or should the server be doing all the processing? And if we look at history, the client always wins in the long run. So, yep, that's to be expected. So,
one thing to note, from what I remember from reading that article, the core technology is not going to be dead. They will still be selling it to they just don't want to do the service anymore.
There's things that they've learned from this that they will take forward and or sell and or spin off, and it will be useful information. It just won't be for playing video games streaming over the internet through Google's name. Yeah. Who knows who else?
I know AT&T is already using it.
Yep,
because they offered that Batman game last year.
Right.
And there's a couple other companies that announced they were licensing it earlier this year. So, yeah, that's what happens when you participate in a beta.
Stadia's dead. Stadia's dead.
All right. So, Mike, what's new with Amazon?
Yeah, so just about a week ago, Amazon announced their whole slate of new products. As is pretty typical, there was a large selection of the items. Some of the standouts are a new Amazon Alexa remote that, no, I'm not talking to you. Anyways, a new Amazon Alexa Pro remote that finally adds a feature that allows you to find the remote, which other services have had, and we finally have this. We've kind of worked our way around this by buying covers for them that are like glow in the dark. Literally.
I thought you worked your way around it by just buying more remotes.
Or that would work too. They had some new Fire tablets, Kindles, actual Fire TVs. They did some changes and enhancements to their Luna gaming stuff, new hardware and new software features for that, which may be a little part of why Google gave up on this area. And then the two things that I think are the absolute standouts. The first, the most important to me, last year they updated all of their Fire devices for viewing. Now they're updating the Fire TV Cube. So I'm excited for that. Gets a little bit more horsepower, faster processors, Wi-Fi 6E support, and another really cool feature that I like, an HDMI input that allows you to connect either a cable box or a game console to be able to run through your Fire TV.
So it's
so you don't have to. Yeah, it's basically a pass through. It does allow actual control of the device if the device is a supporting device. So for the certain cable boxes, it'll actually allow the Echo to do full control through that HDMI connection. So that's a really cool feature, especially for people that do have a console, or more importantly, a TV box that you used to have to switch inputs on your TV and switch remotes and everything, which is obviously an annoyance. My folks are in that category, and it was always frustrating having to juggle the remotes for the different devices. So that was the coolest thing. Really excited to get that. It comes out in a few weeks, and I will be on that first group of folks to receive it. The other thing, and this is a standout because I think it might be the absolute worst product idea ever. We all have experience with, or maybe we don't all, but with things like your smartwatch that can tell you about your sleep, or even my Tempur-Pedic bed takes heart rate and stuff like that, monitoring while I'm sleeping. Amazon thought that wasn't far enough into the creepy zone, and they have created a device that is called the Halo Rise. And it's a little circle kind of device, about like that, from what I can tell, that is a light, and it lights up as your wake up thing in the morning. They actually have something similar for kids that's really cool. But the uber awesome or massively creepy feature, depending on where you stand, is that this device, from my understanding, it uses infrared, I believe. Not 100% sure on that, but it literally watches you sleep and gives you sleep recording data by watching you with a camera. I mean, it's not a real camera. They say it doesn't have a camera, but it literally watches you sleep.
We talked about that on the previous incarnation of the show, and I had posed the question. So what is it going to do when it's watching you and your significant other decide to get a little frisky, and then it notices that your core temperature and heart rate are elevated? What's it going to do with that information?
Maybe it'll sound an alarm. Warning!
It's gonna
your temperature is getting too high.
It's gonna post the infrared signature directly to one of the tubes.
Yeah. I mean, wow. Yeah, I had I do vaguely remember a conversation. I didn't remember that it was specifically the Amazon.
I didn't remember
Halo
I couldn't
Rise.
remember if it was Amazon or Google.
It was Google. Google introduced a new version of their Nest Hub that had their Project Solus, which is basically using radar instead of a camera in order to watch you sleep and gather information while you were sleeping. And at that time, everybody said, "Ew, it watches you sleep," even though it wasn't a camera, just much like this. All I gotta say is that the people who are hypocrites who said, "Ew, Google's watching me sleep," and then turn around and say, "I want this device from Amazon." If you're not a hypocrite, if you hated both or you like both, that's fine. It's those specific hypocrite.
Yeah.
That's the exact same thing of when I got my first 5.5 to 6 inch screen phone, and every Apple user screamed at me and said,
"What is your phone from like 1980? Why do you need a screen that big?"
And then a couple years later, when Apple finally did it, it was the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah. Well, I think the device itself, I don't think it has some interesting features. I do like the idea of a light that brightens in order to wake you up, giving you that natural lightening in the morning that is supposedly helps assist awakening. It has a clock, which I have upgraded to an Echo Dot in my room, in my bedroom, to have that clock, because I like the clock quite a lot. So that's a nice feature that not all of the Echo devices have. So might be worth upgrading. It claims it's designed for privacy. You can turn it off anytime, and it doesn't have a camera or a microphone, but I mean, it still watches you sleep.
Wait a second,
So
it's an Alexa. Doesn't have to have a microphone so it can hear you.
it is not. It's called the Halo Rise, not
Oh,
the Echo.
So
Gotcha.
okay,
anything.
that is
So
the
it doesn't have
difference.
that.
That's where Amazon can say, no, we took the creepy thing that Google made and we did
Yeah.
we did our own because this is a separate product. It's not built into the product that has a camera and microphone.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Still, I don't
So,
like it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't love it, but it does have some interesting features if you don't mind them watching you. Probably, as you said, probably with radar. It probably isn't infrared.
Yeah.
It's probably radar.
LiDAR.
LiDAR.
most likely.
Sounds interesting, but yeah, that'd be something I would want to watch reviewers review it first before thinking about buying it.
What? Don't want to be an early adopter to that? Don't know why.
Too bad. I mean,
early adopter is Mike.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
See, this is the kind of thing I do normally jump on, but it's not one that I really need in this case. I think I'll skip it. I already have multiple things tracking my sleeping habits, so.
Yeah, I mean, using the light for the circadian rhythms and that kind of thing. I mean, that's an interesting feature, right? But yeah, I mean, I just keep saying, thinking, on the movie 2001, right? It's time to get up, right?
Yeah, well,
that kind of thing.
if you rarely get a chance to actually go to bed, what's the point of getting it?
The point is, in a normal situation where the automatic lights turn on and they go to full brightness, that sucks. When the device is able to bring it up slowly so it doesn't sear your eyeballs in the morning, slightly better.
Will this device be able to warn me if the ghost that stalks my halls decides to climb into my bed?
Yes, that's that weird warbling noise you hear coming from the device. Oh, wait a second. This one probably doesn't have a speaker, so no, you can't hear that. This one won't help you.
Then I don't have
It probably does because it's activating the visual alarm of the light, so it probably also has a physical alarm.
Yeah,
That's true.
I typically sleep during the day, so lights don't bother me. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's what's going on as far as we're concerned. Don't forget to like and subscribe it helps out our channel a lot. And if you would like to support the channel, you can click the link down in the description, become a patron, and then see you next time.